Chapter 16 Passover. This is also told in Exodus 12:1-20, Leviticus 23:4-8. Moses said, People of Israel, you must celebrate Passover in the month of Abib, because one night in that month years ago, the Lord your God rescued you from Egypt. The Passover sacrifice must be a cow, a sheep, or a goat, and you must offer it at the place where the Lord chooses to be worshipped. Eat all the meat of the Passover sacrifice that same night, but don't serve bread made with yeast at the Passover meal. Serve the same kind of thin bread that you are when you were slaves suffering in Egypt and when you had to leave Egypt quickly. As long as you live, this thin bread will remind you of the day you left Egypt. For 7 days following Passover, don't make any bread with yeast. In fact, there should be no yeast anywhere in Israel. Don't offer the Passover sacrifice in any town where you happen to live. It must be offered at the place where the Lord chooses to be worshipped. Kill the sacrifice at sunset, the time of day when you left Egypt. Then cook it and eat it there at the place of worship, returning to your tents the next morning. Eat thin bread for the next 6 days. Then on the seventh day, don't do any work. Instead, come together and worship the Lord. The Harvest Festival. This is also told in Exodus 34:22. Leviticus 23:15-21. Moses said to Israel, 7 weeks after you start your grain harvest, go to the place where the Lord chooses to be worshipped and celebrate the Harvest Festival in honor of the Lord your God. Bring him an offering as large as you can afford, depending on how big a harvest he has given you. Be sure to take along your sons and daughters and all your servants. Also invite the poor, including Levites, foreigners, orphans, and widows. Remember that you used to be slaves in Egypt, so obey these laws. The Festival of Shelters. This is also told in Leviticus 23:33-43, Numbers 29:12-38. Moses said to Israel, After you have finished the grain harvest and the grape harvest, take your sons and daughters and all your servants to the place where the Lord chooses to be worshipped. Celebrate the Festival of Shelters for 7 days. Also invite the poor, including Levites, foreigners, orphans, and widows. Excuse me. The Lord will give you big harvest and make you successful in everything you do. You will be completely happy, so celebrate this festival in honor of the Lord your God. 3 festivals at the place of worship. This is also told in Exodus 23:14-17. Moses said, Each year there are 3 festivals when all Israelites men must go to the place where the Lord chooses to be worshipped. These are the Festival of Thin Bread, the Harvest Festival, and the Festival of Shelters. And don't forget to take along a gift for the Lord. The bigger the harvest the Lord gives you, the bigger your gift should be. Treat everyone with justice. Moses said to Israel, After you are settled in the towns that you will receive from the Lord your God, the people in each town must appoint judges and other officers. Those of you who become judges must be completely fair when you make legal decisions, even if someone important is involved. Don't take bribes to give unfair decisions. Bribes keep people who are wise from seeing the truth and turn honest people into liars. People of Israel, if you want to enjoy a long and successful life, make sure that everyone is treated with justice in the land the Lord is giving you. Don't set up sacred poles or stones. Moses said to Israel, "When you build the altar for offering sacrifices to the Lord your God, don't set up a sacred pole for the worship of the goddess Asherah, and don't set up a sacred stone. The Lord hates these things." Chapter 17. Sacrifices that have something wrong with them. Moses said to Israel, "If an ox or a sheep has something wrong with it, don't offer it as sacrifice to the Lord your God. He will be disgusted. Put to death people who worship idols." Moses said to Israel, "The Lord your God is giving you towns to live in. But later, a man or a woman in your town may start worshiping other gods, or even the sun, moon, or stars. I have warned you not to worship other gods, because whoever worships them is disobeying the Lord and breaking the agreement he made with you. So when you hear that someone in your town is committing this disgusting sin, you must carefully find out if that person really is guilty. But you will need 2 or 3 witnesses. One witness isn't enough to prove a person guilty. Get rid of those who are guilty of such evil. Take them outside your town gates and let everyone stone them to death. But the witnesses must be the first to throw stones. Difficult cases. Moses says to Israel, "It may be difficult to find out the truth in some legal cases in your town. You may not be able to decide if someone was killed accidentally or murdered, or you may not be able to tell whether an injury or some property damage was done by accident or on purpose. If the case is too difficult, take it to the court at the place where the Lord your God chooses to be worshipped. This court will be made up of one judge and several priests who serve at the Lord's altar. They will explain the law to you and give you their decision about the case. Do exactly what they tell you, or you will be put to death. When other Israelites hear about it, they will be afraid and obey the decisions of the court." The king, Moses said, "People of Israel, after you capture the land the Lord your God is giving you, and after you settle on it, you will say, 'We want a king, just like the nations around us.' Go ahead and appoint a king, but make sure that he is an Israelite and that he is the one the Lord has chosen. The king should not have many horses, especially those from Egypt. The Lord has said his people are never to go back there again, and the king must not have a lot of wives. They might tempt him to be unfaithful to the Lord. Finally, the king must not try to get huge amounts of silver and gold. The official copy of God's laws will be kept by the priests of the Levi tribe. So as soon as anyone becomes king, he must go to the priests and write out a copy of these laws while they watch. Each day the king must read and obey these laws, so that he will learn to worship the Lord with fear and trembling, and not think that he is better than everyone else. If the king completely obeys the Lord's commands, he and his descendants will rule Israel for many years."